Hello, it's Propaganda Patrol. Uh, yeah, today we're gonna start with the Pope. I'm sorry for saying again. So, I'm a Christian. I'm not a Catholic. I'm a evangelical Baptist. Which, before you say, "Oh my goodness, you're in Egypt," I'm. Our church is extremely reformed. We feel more like a Presbyterian church than a what you probably see on the news evangelical church. We are a Reformed Baptist church, but we still do evangelical music and evangelical kind of like takes. But Pope Francis is incredibly important to. It should be incredibly important to all Christians, whether you're Eastern Orthodox, whether you're, especially if you're Catholic, whether you're a Protestant. I know Protestants don't particularly like the Pope super much. It's kind of part of our culture, to not to not be huge Pope fans. But the Pope is also a historically has been a pretty decent person, a pretty actually fantastic person, and is supposed to be the representative of Christianity on earth, the representative of Christ, and I extremely appreciate it. So whether you're atheist, Muslim, whatever you are, you should be looking to Pope Francis for not guidance, but like an example. He does say some pretty not not theologically sound stuff sometimes, but I mean, I would probably consider him a pretty good dude. And he's in the hospital with early kidney failure. According today, we're going to be starting with the Associated Press, who, by the way, just had their White House privileges removed by Donald Trump. And I'll get into that. That's actually the next article we're going to read, but I'm going to start with the Pope. So, yeah, let's get into this. Pope Francis remains in critical condition Sunday. Blood tests show early kidney failure. That's not good. That's really not good. But he remains alert. Okay, fantastic. That means he's alive. He's awake. He attended mass. Oh, so the last who was our last pope? This is from last video. Popes. I really hope there's a list of popes. I wasn't. I mean, I was alive when the last. Obviously, I was alive when the last pope resigned, but I don't Like, I didn't live through. I mean, I did live through. I'm young, so I didn't exactly get to experience much of what the pope had to say. I wasn't paying attention to the pope when I was 12, and now I'm 18 and or 19 actually. I'm 19 now. And the Pope. Okay, what? Uh, Never mind. Who's the popes? Why isn't there a list of popes? Uh, Pope Pontifex Maximus. It's wild that they keep the name Pontifex Maximus, which means highest priest in Latin. This was the term. I mean, Julius Caesar was Pontifex Maximus. So does that make Julius Caesar one of our first popes? I don't know. Julius Caesar could have potentially been a pope if you want to, use the term Pontifex Maximus specifically. I really wish. Oh, list of popes. There we go. Let's scroll down. Wait, who does is it? Do they consider Jesus or do they consider Peter the first pope? Let's. My guess is Peter. Okay, there we go. Petrus is rock. Linus, Anticleus. Oh, we gotta go to the more recent popes. Holy Pope. That's a lot of popes. Get it, Holy Pope. Sorry, that was a bad joke. Scroll down. Holy Pope. Why are there so many? I mean, that makes sense. All right, Pope Benedict. So Benedict resigned. Okay, and that is unique. It's like 99% of popes die before they give up the papacy. It was incredibly weird for Pope Benedict to just hand over the presidency. Sorry, I'm American. Uh, to hand over the papacy. And I think my personal opinion is that Pope Francis, Pope Francis should resign like his predecessor because early kidney failure is gonna get worse and worse until until it kills him. And as good of a person as he is, I don't think the Pope. I think the Pope needs to be present for our Christian communities. Him being in a hospital, constrained to the hospital, even if he's attending mass, he we need a present Pope. That's my personal opinion. Catholics, feel free to respond and tell me what you think. But I don't think a hospitalized Pope is going to do very good for anyone. But I hope he's 88. Oh, dang. I really hope he gets better, but life expectancy, he's way past it. Uh, in a late update, the Vatican said Francis hadn't had any more respiratory crises since Saturday night. Oh, but he's receiving. Oh, that's really sad. That's really sad. That's really sad. This is death. He's dying by age, and he is still holding the papacy. I mean, really, he's really showing strength by holding that papacy. But I, I don't know. The complexity of the clinical picture and the necessity of the wait for drug therapists to provide some feedback dictate the prognosis remains guarded. Francis doctors concluded. Prayers for Francis, especially from Argentina. He's from, well, yeah, it says, to the seat of Sunni Islam, to Cairo. What? Really? We got people from Cairo to Argentina. That's fantastic. I mean, it really is. New York Cardinal Timothy Dolan admitted church leaders in Rome weren't saying publicly Catholic that the Catholic faithful were united at the bedside of a dying father. Oh, that's really sad. I mean, as much as I disagree with some of his theology, he's you never want to see someone like this die. He's a pope. He's super important. He's a good guy. Dang. As our Holy Father Pope Francis is in very, very fragile health and probably close to death. Oh, and he hopes. Yeah, I hope he'll bounce back too. This is so sad. Oh, I really shouldn't have picked such a sad argument, or not argument, discussion. Celebrated Mass, even though he's in the hospital bed, we feel Pope Francis is close to us. We feel him present among us. Confidentially, hospitalization at Gemelli Hospital. Where's Gemelli Hospital? Let's take a look at where Gemelli Hospital is. It is probably downtown. Oh, just outside downtown, just outside the Vatican City. It's a big hospital. Look at that. So he's probably in some of the best care in the world, although maybe not according to this. Ooh, yeah, talking about the Pope. Thank you. Why is it so low rated? Let's take a little side tangent real quick. Let's find out why people don't like this hospital. Terrible place. Avoid Australia and British on, on holiday. I waited 4 hours in emergency. Rude, you helpful staff. No aircon. Wasn't even water offered in the whole 6 hours. And even if you got water, they'd probably charge you an arm and a leg. Get it? Arm. Never mind. Not even one person examined my leg. Had ECG and blood tests. Said a medical bench and quarter. No explanation given. Eventually was called and told, "You're all okay. You can go home." That's fair enough. 4 hours, 6 hours, just to be told, "Oh, you're fine. You can go home." That's tragic. So yeah, he's in a good hospital. Although some people may disagree with that assertion. The message asked for prayers to him, as he always asks, noted the upcoming anniversary of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Painful and shameful occasion. Wow, see, I mean, look at that. He's in his hospital bed, he's dying, but he's still talking about the needy. I mean, that's fantastic. I mean, that really is fantastic. Meanwhile, native Argentina, the city prays for you. Look at this. I mean, look at this image. Just take a second to look over this. At a glance, I thought this guy was Karl Marx. I don't know why. I guess I thought I saw hair on his head right here. was about to say that's a really awful place to put Karl Marx, but no, I don't know who this guy is. San Pio. I don't know who he is. In Cairo, Grand Imam. So this is a Muslim. Oh, okay. So that's a Muslim imam, which is I guess high priest is the best way to put it. A leader. He's a leader. Is wishing him well. Yeah, that's great. I mean, that shows the bond between Pope Francis and Al Azir. Wait, is this the guy? No, this is the town. The Grand Imam wished him well. That's fantastic. I pray to Allah, swift recovery. Sheikh Tamid Al Tayyib. I really hope I didn't butcher that name. In a Facebook post. I didn't know they had. Well, obviously they have Facebook in Egypt, but I didn't know they they posted on Facebook in Egypt. I guess they don't have very many tech companies in Egypt, if I had to guess. The American Jewish Committee also offered prayers. We stand up together with our Catholic brothers and sisters during this challenging time. It definitely is a challenging time. The group put on X. School children from Rome, theologian. Oh, that's cool. Okay. Italian bishops led rosary prayers and celebrated special masses across Italy. That's fantastic. Sepsis is a potential threat. Okay, so they're worried he's going to die of sepsis. This is just, it's old age. Look at a second to take, look at this image. You get the Vatican guard walking down this, I mean, I guess the best word to say is, this is medieval, but it feels ancient. This ancient hallway with all these Catholics. What are you doing on your phone, bro? What are you doing on your phone? I mean, the Pope is dying and you're on your phone, really? Taking a walk down this beautiful, beautiful hallway. I mean, that's nice. Look at that. Yeah, these guys are like special forces trained. Like you wouldn't want to get into a fight with this guy because he will beat you every time, unless you're maybe a Navy SEAL. But I doubt many people watching this are going to be Navy SEALs. Uh, yeah, I would not suggest challenging this guy to a fight. Doctors have warned that the main threat is sepsis, a serious infection of the blood that can occur as a complication of pneumonia. To date, there has been no reference to an onset of sepsis. Okay, so it's either happening and they're not saying anything, or it's not happening and they're not saying anything because it's not happening. And I hope it's not happening, but if it is, that's not really good. Developed a low palate count. Platelet. Sorry, I'm tired. Which remain low and stable across Sunday. Low platelets can be caused by a number of things, including side effects from medicines or infections. So I think what they're trying to do is imply that there's an infection happening. I think that's what they're trying to like imply. But they're also saying it could be the medicines, and I'm sure he's on all sorts of medicines right now. But I think they're trying to imply that he's infected with something. Francis also has developed anemia, and oh, that's not good. And during blood transfusion Saturday, was given Hematin. Okay, so they're trying to get as much oxygen to his blood as possible. Yeah, as they say below. Doctors reported that therapy had been beneficial. I can imagine. I okay, therapy as in like physical therapy, not like emotion. Like I was about to say, does the Pope? The Pope's human. Obviously, he's gonna need therapy, but does the Pope need like psychological therapy? He's the Pope. He's like the head therapist. But yeah, physical therapy. Francis, who had chronic lung disease, that's super unfortunate, and is prone to bronchitis and water, was admitted to Gemelli Hospital February 14th on Valentine's Day. Complex viral and fungal, bacterial and fungal, viral bacterial. Oh my gosh, this guy has. Ooh, that's brutal. Wow. And pneumonia in both lungs. This is really bad. They prescribed absolute rest. Okay, so wait, how did he go to mass then? If he's prescribed absolute rest, I mean, he's the Pope. I guess he can do whatever he wants. But theoretically, shouldn't someone on absolute rest not ever go anywhere? Because, never mind. Francis' recent reforms suggest he knew he was getting older and more fragile. Recent decisions that suggest he was well aware that he's getting old and frail. I could imagine. He revised funeral rites. He created new cardinals who will elect the next pope. How many? Oh, okay. There's 140 cardinals. Okay. Let me give my. I think the next pope is going to be from Africa or South America. Oh well, I guess he's from South America. Maybe Central America. I think the next pope is going to either be from Central America, South America, or Africa. We've never had an African pope, to my knowledge. Maybe we've had some from Tunisia, Morocco, like Northern Africa, but we've never had a sub-Saharan African pope. And my personal guess is that due to the growing nature of Christianity, especially Catholicism in Africa, I think we're going to have an African pope. Although I don't know if the world is mature enough to have a black pope. I really hope we are. I really hope we are. I don't know if the world is mature enough for that. Although we did elect a Jesuit pope, so anything's possible. And Francis is a Jesuit pope. And Jesuits, for people who don't know, can, I don't want to say bend the laws of Christianity or like bend the theology, but that's kind of what they do. They kind of can bend the laws of Christianity um, to like appeal to certain group. I mean, like native peoples, they can kind of syncretize their beliefs and over time change it into a more fundamental Christian belief. But the Jesuits have been widely criticized because they have at times can have pretty bad theology considering they are at times not fully, I'm not going to say not fully Christian, but like not, they mix their beliefs with other beliefs, and that can be kind of weird. But as long as they got the whole I am the way, the truth, and the light, and no one comes to the Father except through me, theoretically they're fine. I mean, I'm not God, so I can't tell you what the requirements are, for example, to go to heaven or hell. That's God's choice. But yeah, Francis, Jesuits. I don't think the next pope's going to be Jesuit. It's possible since they've already elected one, but I think they'll elect a conservative pope next time. Theoretically, I don't. Maybe he created 21 new, more Jesuit style, I guess, cardinals. We'll see. All but one were under the age of 80. What? Oh, okay. All but one were under the age of 80. I was about to say they're all above the age of 80. I just misread this. Under the age of 80, thus eligible to vote in a conclave to elect his successor. Okay, that makes sense. Set by John Paul II. Okay. To extend the 5-year term of current dean. That's probably because he knows he's going to die soon. That's really sad. He likes his current dean and wants him to success or to elect a successor that he likes probably. College of Cardinals Giovanni Bastia Re 91 as depicted in the film Conclave. Really? Really? I mean, I haven't seen Conclave, but most modern films, especially around Catholicism, are not going to be very pro-Catholic, to say the least. Mr. AP Press. Okay, has extended the term of vice dean. Okay, so he really wants his deans to choose his next pope. I guess the next pope, not his next pope, because he's going to be dead. But yeah, I really feel for this guy. He's a good guy. He's done good things, but I think he knows his time's up, and that's really sad. So good luck. I hope he recovers. But let's move on to a a different topic. Trump says the AP will be curtailed at the White House until it changes its style to the Gulf of America. Oh my gosh. President Donald Trump said Tuesday that he will continue to restrict the Associated Press access. Let's move to a funnier topic. So Donald Trump is very, he's a very, I think the word strong president. He likes to get his way, and if he doesn't get his way, he takes away your funding. He takes away your privileges to be in the White House. I mean, he likes his way. It's his way or the highway. And I know that's not exactly super democratic, but it works. I don't know why it works. That's a very bad photo. I mean, I guess this is okay, but what is? I mean, okay. I think she's a pretty good speaker, White House press secretary. Oh, that's it. Okay. All right. Restrict the Associated Press's access to events and news outlets until they go along with renaming the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. Oh, that's fantastic. He acknowledged the move was a presidential retaliation against the news agenda's editorial policy. Oh, news agency. Okay, sorry. We're going to keep them out until such time as they agree with the Gulf of America. I don't understand. The AP is a news organization, and obviously they can report it whatever they want to, but I think they should just suck it up calling it the Gulf of America for the next 4 years and then change back when Trump's out of office in 4 years instead of playing hardball with Trump. I mean, all you have to do is say, okay, we're going to call it the Gulf of America for the next 4 years. And in 4 years, just change it back. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. But the AP Press, in my opinion, is probably playing for the more liberal audience. They're probably trying to get the liberal audience to, I guess, I guess they're trying to sucker up to the liberal audience. They're a news organization. They're trying to get as many clicks as possible, and having their license taken away from the White House is a fantastic way to get tons of clicks. This was written, by the way, by David Balder. Say hi to David. Let's see if I can take a look at this guy. Yeah. Hi, David. Okay. Let's boom. All right. Yeah, I feel like they're trying to sucker up to their more liberal base by refusing to call it the Gulf of America. Tensions are very high in the states right now, so I mean that makes sense. I just wish they would just say, okay, let's call it the Gulf of America for 4 years, and that's it. Be done with it. But resisting Trump, as I said earlier, gets more views. So let's move on. We're gonna keep calling them, keeping them out until they agree to call it the Gulf of America. Trump said, speaking to a reporter, signing off an executive order at Mar-a-Lago. I don't think this is necessary. This is probably for him to get his word count up. You know, like writing an essay. You know, we've all had to yap a little bit to make. Oh yeah, because this is already a short article. We're very proud of this country. Yada yada. It's the first time he commented himself since they. Okay, so this was his first comment. That makes sense. Two journalists from AP were denied interest to Mar-a-Lago. Hey, it's it's a free country. He's allowed to deny people from Mar-a-Lago, and he's also allowed to deny people from the White House. I mean, it's not like I guess it's unheard of. I haven't really heard of any major news network being refused into the White House for not agreeing with speech. I'm not sure if it violates freedom of speech, but the president has the authority and the right to deny people from the White House. So I guess he's allowed. I mean, I guess he's allowed to do this. I don't know if I agree with it, but he's doing it anyway. Whether I agree with it or not doesn't matter. They watched a live television feed of Trump's remark and were unable to ask questions. That's so funny. They had to sit outside and watch a live TV feed. I can imagine they went to like a maybe like a coffee bar and pulled up their laptop and just had to drink their little coffee as well. Oh wow! While the big boys asked Trump the questions. Although I can't really say anything. The AP press is pretty big. The AP press, the Associated Press is massive, huge, and they do pretty decent stuff when it comes to football. Although I disagree with their most recent rankings. Yeah, I mean, they hold a lot of weight on sports weight. Yada yada. Yapping. Sorry, I'm yapping. Shortly after taking office, Trump named it to the Gulf of Mexico or the Gulf of America. It had been named that for 400 years. Ah, blah, blah. Oh my gosh, it's the Gulf of. So, yeah, I mean, he's allowed to change the name of stuff. It's not unheard of to change the Constantinople. Is there a city called Constantinople nowadays? No. Why is there not a city called Constantinople? I mean, it's not like the city disappeared. It's still there. The city of Constantinople is still there. We don't call it Constantinople anymore. What do we call it? Yeah, we call it Istanbul. Countries are allowed to rename stuff, and especially with a gulf that big. I mean, we're allowed to change the name of it. No one else has to even follow it. I mean, Turkey changed their name to Turkey. If you look at Turkey on a map, they changed their name from Turkey to, let me show you, to Turkey. Turkey. I don't really know how to pronounce it, but I mean, countries are allowed to rename stuff. That's within their right. Same with Kiev. It used to be called Kiev now, or Kiev, and now it's called Kiev. I'm getting upset at a president for renaming something is not really fair. Just because it had been in place for 400 years, that on the grand scheme of things, that's not exactly a super long time. So I don't think that's a fair criticism. His style book continued to use the Gulf of Mexico. Okay, I don't know what style book is. I've never heard of it. Associated Press just refuses to go with what the law is. Congress didn't. I mean, I guess it's law because the president said it's. I don't know. That's kind of dictator speak. But the president did say, "Do are executive orders considered law, or is law passed by Congress?" I don't know. That's an open question. No law prevents the AP from choosing. Oh my gosh! Yeah, the Associated Press refuses to go. The Associated Press refuses to go with what the law is, and you can imagine my hands moving back and forth like Trump's. No law prevents the AP from. That's a shot at Trump right there. AP spokeswoman Lauren Easton said Tuesday, government telling the public and press what it should be in retaliating. Yeah, so the whole retaliating thing, I don't know if I agree with it, but I mean, if the worst quote unquote fascism America gets is having to call the Gulf of America, I mean, I wouldn't consider that like evil fascism. That's just I mean, that's just, I guess, a stylistic choice. We're trying. I mean, I guess we're just trying to rename the Gulf of America. While the AP has framed it as a First Amendment issue, I understand where that's coming from. Trump's team says access to events, which are mostly funded by tax dollars, is a privilege. That's a fair argument, but I mean, I assume they're going to sue and try to dispute it as a First Amendment issue, and the Supreme Court will definitely take this as a like First Amendment debate and probably turn it from a gray area if it's a privilege or a to a like a black and white area if it's a right or if it's a privilege. And my opinion is I think it should be a privilege. I think the president should choose what news organizations are allowed, but I also don't know if the president should be allowed to kick out a news organization for disagreeing with his speech because that can get really bad really quickly. While Trump characterized the AP standing alone against the name change, the New York Times and Washington Post. New York Times and Washington Post. Can you name one similarity between these two organizations? I mean, I'll give you one. They're both biased towards the left, to the Democratic Party in the United States. And like I said earlier, they're probably pandering to their liberal audience base, which, I mean, that's fine. They're news organizations, they can do whatever they want by calling it the Gulf of Mexico. I guess the AP feels targeted, but again, if this is like what people have been calling it, if this is fascism, why are the New York Times and Washington Post still in the White House? I guess Trump just has a personal vendetta against the AP, the Associated Press. Axios noting that primarily yada 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 myriad customers. Oh, because it's trying to like an internationally yada yada. Well, I mean, it's the Associated Press. Is this because it's an American-based company? So I mean, I don't know what percent of their audience, their customers are non-American, but I mean, they're a company. They're trying to make as much money as possible. The Pentagon has evicted 8 news organizations. I mean, what organizations? Let's see. Each of the outlets. NBC, New York Times, Political. Oh, wait, what? No. Where's the Oxford comma? This is so weird. Because that makes it sound like one news company. Where's your Oxford comma? Is it called an Oxford comma if there's more than 3? I don't know, but that's weird. AP. Okay, I have an extremely unfavorable view of the AP after this grave mistake. I mean, why would you remove the Oxford comma? So, and for anyone who doesn't know, when you're listing things, if it's called the Oxford comma after more than 2 examples, I don't know, maybe it has a different name, but typically the last comma, it would be NBC News, comma, New York Times, comma, NPR. There should be a comma right here, comma, and Politico. That's the Oxford comma. The fact that they took it off makes the AP a completely biased and untrustworthy news source. I'm kidding, by the way. I mean, it's just annoying. Why would you? What? No, I gotta find out who wrote that article real quick. We're gonna go on another side tangent. It's the same guy. I don't know if I trust this guy anymore. That was kind of weird, bro. Where did you put your Oxford comma? Who taught you how to write? Where did you go to college? I don't want to go to college where he went to college because that I don't know if I agree with the whole Oxford commas. Specifically, it objects to gender affirming care. I mean, gender affirming care and the capitalization of black and non. Okay, that's just racist. That's racist. The capitalization of black and not white in racial descriptions, that's racism. Creating a system that favors one race over another is racism. Why are they doing this? And I mean, in what universe is this okay? Why would they do that? Like, that's a fair. I mean, I'm not on board with the whole gender affirming care thing, especially in children. That's kind of weird. But this right here is blatant racism. I mean, that's crazy. I mean, because imagine you flip it around, the capitalization of white and not black. Is that fair? If you think that's fair, and you think this is not fair, or other way around, if you think this is fair but that's not fair, I mean that's hypocritical. That's not. That's really not cool. I mean, why style book? Why do you do that? And that's just pushing your like. It's pushing an agenda. That's what it is. This right here. That's weird. That's weird. Style book. Why do you do that? Okay, let's move on. Trump says the are ridiculous. I agree. That is ridiculous. That is insane. I mean, you call yourself a news. Well, okay, what is style book? You call yourself a closet app? What? Okay, and you work with. Is this the same? Oh, okay. Here, this is what it is. I was about to say, is this the style book, which includes new chapters on artificial? Okay, so it's their like newspaper kind of. I mean, it's not a newspaper, but it's like their journal. It's their journal, and you call yourself a news organization and do stuff like this. I mean, that's not cool. I mean, that really isn't cool. Why do you do that? Okay, I guess some are, but many aren't. Yeah, because that's not. The president said AP has been very, very wrong on the election of Trump and the yada 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 yada. It was unclear which election he was referring to on the election of Trump and the treatment of Trump. Yeah, okay, so a lot of news organizations kind of went on a witch hunt after Trump got out of office in 2020. And I can imagine why Trump might not be very favorable towards every organization which tried to put him in jail and potentially, I don't know if this is like completely factual, but something drove people to want to kill him. And so when you're being shot and just absolutely roasted and just killed in the news, I could imagine why you don't exactly have a very favorable opinion of people like the Associated Press, which allowed this to fester and build. Although I'm not using that as a justification for Trump to like use reciprocity and go against the Associated Press by doing something like pulling their White House privileges, but it is within his right until I guess the Supreme Court figures it out. But considering the Supreme Court's very red tape, slow bureaucratic process, it's probably not going to be decided until 2026, 2027. Mar-a-Lago's appearance on Tuesday was open to several news outlets. So I guess they're still mad that they weren't let into Mar-a-Lago. I mean that's a fair thing to be upset at. I mean, you're a journalist. You get paid to talk about news, and you're not allowed to go talk to the big man himself, the president. Although, again, if you're gonna be talking about him all critically in the news and then expect to be allowed to come into his personal house, I mean, you really can't be expected to be allowed into his personal house to be a privileged guest if you're going to be critical towards him. So, I mean, I guess AP versus Trump, who wins? The Supreme Court's going to decide who wins, but Yeah, let's I want to figure out who wins that Supreme Court debate. As targeted legacy media. I mean, targeted legacy media, is that really a bad thing? Independent media is so good nowadays. I don't think traditional media like the AP, like Fox News and CNN are going to last very long because you have people like Hassan, Asmongold, all sorts of these independent talkers who are just much better at presenting like narratives and ideas and facts to people. Asmongold and Hassan, I bring up the two most controversial figures in in the news space. But anyways, yeah, this is a propaganda patrol. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, like and subscribe. If you didn't, like and subscribe. I'd appreciate it either way. I'm sorry if my mic's been cutting out. I have been trying to fix it. I've been using all sorts of things. But I mean, I guess the gain or I don't know. Something's wrong with it. I'm gonna try to figure it out. If you enjoyed, again, like please like and subscribe. This was Propaganda Patrol. Have a good night. Oop, okay, that button didn't work. Have a good night.